the wagons are circling here. But where's it going?
I would just say this. I take a little different view than you and Jerry on this thing. I think it would be, this is a big issue for Silicon Valley. They are being attacked both from the left and the right. The left wants them to pay more taxes, wants to break them up even. You know, there's a lot of talk about that. The right obviously was worrying about the fake news aspect, or the aspect that you have liberals deciding your news feed, and you only get a biased view of it. But I'm telling you that I think even in the Obama administration, I mean, remember, he did a lot of things that the tech industry hated, the net neutrality stuff. And, it wouldn't be beyond the pale that an Obama administration or a Hillary Clinton administration would break up some of these companies. I mean,
I think she was thinking about the zeal with which they would go after this stuff. That is, Washington going after this stuff or trying to get ads like this.
Yeah.
That would be the opposite if it were that. But you never know. But could I ask you about where all of this is going and to what end?
I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows right now. I mean, I think here's the real interesting thing.
Well, I promoted you saying that you would have all the answers.
To what? What do you want? What do you want to know?
Anything you want.
Just tell me the question. To what?
Is the Mueller stuff escalating into anything big?
I will tell you this. As someone who's covered white-collar crime for a long time, when you start getting leaks of process, like, Parikh Baraha, when he was the U.S. attorney, busting down this guy's door, this guy, this is happening here, they're subpoenaing this guy, and you don't get the leak of what they did wrong, that's where I start to be suspicious. I see Mueller asking for, saying that he went into leaks that he went into Manafort's house, knocked down the door, took his computers, and found out that he said hello to some Russian dude. Where is the beef here? I mean, this is like, now I know people are going to say he still has to develop the case, but usually you get something more when there's really, a real story.
We're hearing more about process, but we're not hearing about charges.
They went after Frank Quattrone, who actually got exonerated years later. He was a former Wall Street investment banker, a guy I know really well. They beat the hell out of the guy with process. When it came down to it, it was like an email that could have been taken 30 different ways that they tried to get him an obstruction charge on that got overturned in the end. I mean, it has.
So
that
what did
sort
you
of
make
smell.
when you hear that Mueller's looking at individual incidents and moments and meetings Donald Trump had with staffers at certain times? Someone is, to your point, leaking that. To
Right.
what end?
So we want to know what meeting he had with this guy. But where's the evidence that the meeting was wrong?
Right.
Or there was something, explosive at the meeting. We're not getting any of that. We're getting a lot of process. And I'm just saying, listen, he may have all the goods. He may be ready to indict Manafort, who's ready to turn on Donald Trump for some.
That would be the idea. Whatever he's indicted on, if it ever came to that, it would be on an ancillary issue. But the idea would be to squeeze him. Right?
We don't know. We just know from
Right.
what he's investigating, it looks like somewhat ancillary. His business dealings with Russian businessmen. Pre the campaign, and then they, here's the other thing that's interesting. Everybody's running around. I even hear it on this network. I can't believe it. That isn't it true now that Obama tapped Trump's phone? Ladies and gentlemen, it is not true. People in the Trump orbit were investigated. They got FISA warrants to tap their phone. And as I said on your show 100 times when this thing first happened, Donald Trump may have incidentally called that person, and that person's on that person was.
Or Manafort called him.
Right, and there was a tap from a FISA warrant on Manafort's phone or General Flynn's phone. I don't know if General Flynn, but that's how this worked. Obama.
But
and
in the end, was Donald Trump caught up in this tap or not in that event?
He might have, but his phone.
It might not have been the original intent.
His phone wasn't tapped.
But Clapper in the beginning said that wasn't going on.
No, he said his phone wasn't tapped, and it wasn't because they didn't have evidence. They weren't investigating him.
But Clapper just said now he didn't realize this was going on. If you're the director of intelligence, you have a pretty good idea, don't you?
If Donald Trump's phone was tapped by the FBI with the Justice Department, maybe the CIA knows or not. But that's not what happened.
Let's say Manafort was tapped all day. His phone calls were being tapped, and he had many conversations.
Okay.
I'm not.
Just remember.
But one of the calls involved Donald Trump, or several involved Donald Trump. Was Donald Trump caught up in that? Yes or no?
Yes, but you knew that beforehand.
Well, I had no idea his phones were tapped.
When his phones weren't tapped.
No, that Manafort's phone. I had no idea that Manafort's phone.
What I said on your show months ago is if you told me, and I didn't say Manafort, I said Flynn at the time, that General Flynn, who's under investigation's phone was tapped, and that in that conversation, that as that part of that wiretap, he called up Trump, and Trump answer the phone. And that is totally normal. That happens. The real rubber meets the road when it gets really serious, if this was a huge scandal, would be Donald Trump's phone being tapped himself. By the way, in order to do that,
I think you're trying to parse this a little too much.